Should be up and running in just a moment. All right, we are all set. Let's see. Look at the scanner, but not sure. I'll take a look at that. Um, so, getting started this morning. Welcome to another Engineering the Market. My name is Jared, and it is October 6th, 2021. So, yesterday, we had essentially a possible trend day scenario inside of our NASDAQ. And we spent some time reviewing some analysis on where we were locationally, along with some expectations of recovery um, using some different indicators. We obviously wanted to start simple with our relative trend line. The Qs are right at this trend line at the moment and are beginning to test it both to the downside and also back to the upside in the form of this sort of flat resistance that we have back at 360. We dug in a little deeper and we looked at the volume profile for the past 10 days. And we recognize that while the NASDAQ is a bit oversold, if a recovery bounce were to be in effect, a likely target would be around this 360 area and potentially as high as VPOC, which at the time was about 361.17. We'll just call it 361 for ease of conversation. The NASDAQ did achieve that respective trend day. And for those who intraday traded yesterday, you'll note that the overall market was relatively strong. We had essentially high correlation inside of the market, where a lot of stocks were advancing around the same time, especially in the S&P 100, and more specifically, a large amount of capital was being allocated to those advancing stocks, which means that there was a larger money flow in the direction of the trend. Usually when you see these types of market internals, you can combine it with things like tick charts. When you go to a tick chart, you're also looking at sort of higher highs and higher lows inside of the tick chart. This didn't necessarily occur yesterday, but we did see that start to improve around 11 o'clock, where the tick chart started to level out. And basically, this helped with the overall internal structure, which was very bullish yesterday. Additionally, we had a lot of our key stocks, which are going to be the drivers of the NASDAQ itself, moving to the upside. One of the more notable names that was not part of the morning rally was Apple. And as you can see, Apple formed a little bit of morning balance, basically about 30 minutes to an hour of consolidation. And that led to a pennant structure, which did break bullish. And that breakout, of course, had a lot of follow through. Final note, of course, most people will look at a trend day and then recognize that during the afternoon session, there often will be some sort of profit taking. And when it comes to trade ideas, usually if you're inside of a trend day, you sort of have 2 to 3 different ways you can play it. Obviously, you want to be in the direction of the trend for as long as possible, especially during the morning rally as we are leaving the initial balance range, allowing the market to essentially tell you that we are going to be trending. One of the ways we did that was by looking at the SPY, and similar to Apple, albeit not as long in time, the SPY was able to break pre-market highs. Move this down here. On this breakout, of course, we like to see some sort of test. That test occurred on the 5-minute chart around this candle here. And then, of course, from that test, we see higher highs and higher lows, indicating that we are potentially in a trend day and until you see a breakdown of either a trend line or potentially a moving average that is acting as support. In the case of the SPY here, you could draw a more aggressive trend line, and you'll note that the trend didn't even start to even be tested until we get to about 10:30, often referred to as either lunchtime chop or basically the moment in time where the trend is being evaluated. Have we hit our target? Ultimately, the SPY did achieve a relative target similar to the Qs. And if we load up volume profile in the same way, we just note that the SPY moved back to value. This is a very common occurrence on trend days, as one of the triggers for it is a move away from relative value. Basically an overextension, and the market needs to return to high volume nodes in order to do transactions. Worth mentioning, the SPY spent a lot of time in this area. This is our lunchtime chop. And that's simply because usually market participation along with relative volume is lower, and therefore the market does not need to move any further. Usually you will see ranges or just a lot of back and forth price action. The SPY certainly had that between about 435 and lows of 434. So about $1 range that you could have played a few times. And then finally in our afternoon session, as the trend day was starting to conclude, there's once again sort of two variants to a trend day that can form. Oftentimes you will have what is known as an afternoon pullback. And this is simply bulls on the day, usually shorter term traders, starting to take profit. The idea is that they recognize that the market has gone to where it needs to go. It's hit its target. And if they have not sold their profit here, once they recognize that the move is not going to go much higher, they begin to all take profit at the same time, eventually leading to a pullback, usually towards something like VWAP. The SPY, of course, did this very cleanly. And while the NASDAQ still hadn't achieved 360 quite yet, we got essentially close enough. And the pullback in the SPY facilitated the drawdown in the Qs. Now, that day is over, that day is done, and as you can see, the market is once again gapping lower. So right now, as the pre-market is forming, we do have a pull down much larger than most people might have expected given the strong performance yesterday. And that, of course, could have been sort of rescued by bulls in after hours if they decided to buy in some sort of relative high or swing low into swing high, essentially setting up some sort of trend reversal. But larger picture, when we look at where we are in the market, sitting under VPOC, especially over the past 10 days, usually what this is going to form more often than not is a range. The markets tend to only be directional for periods of time once they have enough information to move to value zones. And what we did yesterday, given it was such a strongly correlated move back to the upside, could also be perceived as a bit of short covering. We got too far down in regards to our volume profile. The market didn't have the ability to move much further without regenerating some inventory from above, basically regathering supply. And while that doesn't necessarily have to mean we retrace the entire day, ultimately, if we look at the volume profile, the two most fair areas for this market to transact are this high volume node, which the market did spend a couple of days in balance in this area, along with this lower bound. And this, of course, was set on the Qs on Monday's session. So when looking at ranges, which the market certainly is trying to form one, and as we get more information from the Qs, we can see how this range sort of develops. The marketplace is simply caught between two higher volume areas. And as we shift back into the SPY, the picture is similar, with the understanding that the volume profile is a bit different. We actually have a more even distribution of volume throughout this range. And while the market likes to come and retest levels, we also need to be cautious of the idea that if this VPOC continues to be rejected by the market, essentially if we can't stay or move higher from this area, it opens the door for a much larger volume profile and the idea of additional liquidation. One thing that is a big issue in this market is we are essentially on a razor's edge in the larger volume profiles. You can see that the SPY has come back to this roughly 427 area, which represents a range low. We have 435 VPOC, 427 range low. And from a loss of this area, essentially if we do get a large drawdown and push, the next area of high volume sits much lower. Arguably, if we were to fill up this entire pocket, we could even see prices as low as 422. And that, of course, from a technical sense, just brings us back to a new swing low. As we lose support, we need to evaluate the potential for the market to continue to test lower price levels. What we're seeing with 435 is it also represents sort of a breakout back into this upper range. The Qs have a similar posture with 360. And the idea is that the market's having a lot of trouble getting it back above this level. So confidence for the bulls would certainly be achieved if we could start to breach this low and essentially start to test our downtrend, potentially with better volume to the upside. But for now, not only do bears have the sort of the positive momentum in their favor, but as long as the Qs continue to fall, and usually the idea being that the risk is sort of embedded in the NASDAQ, if we shift this higher, you can see that this volume profile, if things get really downright nasty, there is a pocket right around here, essentially where we're sitting, the largest daily volume profile. This large pocket is the risk of liquidation. The NASDAQ essentially could fall through this area very quickly if there is no recovery that is placed around this trend line, as both bulls, like myself, who maybe think that this trend line will hold, could see additional downside pressure, essentially stopping out as their stops are defined in this range, along with the fact that we just don't have a lot of previous volume inventory placed here. And that could lead to the liquidation as low as 340 if we're simply looking at this, this indicator. So overall, markets are on that knife's edge, and that's sort of the advantage and disadvantage of being aggressive. If you're looking for a long in the market, you were definitely looking yesterday to catch this low. And one of the things that can sort of protect you as an aggressive trader is, one, having a strong edge on oversold conditions. Usually you want to see multiple time frames all oversold at the same time. And that can lead to sort of an all time frame bounce as everything is starting to align in the favor of the sort of V bottom or recovery bounce. But additionally, as another edge to a sort of oversold trader, you may also want to be conservative with your initial targets. The idea is that you're still fighting the dominant trend. And while the bounces can be very attractive, we saw that yesterday in that form of the trend day, we still need to respect where we've come from. The market has lost key flat horizontal support. So if you are a bull and you took the QQQ bounce yesterday, especially as an intraday trade, your target should have been somewhere around 360. We didn't quite get there, but it was close enough. If you were a long SPY, your target should have been 435. That's VPOC. And essentially we got it. You know, we hit that target. So the market really doesn't have to give any more additional upside yet until we see more information come from this area. So recognizing that we are still on the knife's edge to the downside. And additionally, take off all these lines here, we are trapped in a range. So the advantage for the bulls is that if the range holds, you get nice transitions, usually to the top end. The disadvantage to the bulls is that in a range, you can have full 100% retracements back to the lows. And the risk, of course, is that one of these events, one of these transitions will break the range. Markets do not stay in ranges forever. And usually when you see such large transitions, you're eventually going to see a tightening as the market is trying to, say, essentially build up some energy. It can be mid-range or it could be at one of the upper or lower bounds. And that breakout from range is the risk. So keeping all that in mind for the swing traders among us, the market continues to be highly volatile. And as a swing trader, one idea is either to widen your stops because the market is giving us exaggerated moves, and those movements allow for us to take larger pieces of the market in shorter amounts of time. Additional recommendations is always be looking at volatility, be recognizing that the VIX so far has been holding above 20. Just to use some simple moving averages. And while this isn't necessarily a market that likes to trend, it's worth noting that we've been making higher lows and the market cannot break down below 20. So we're seeing these moments in time where the market sort of has relief. The VIX comes off sharply, but it's worth also noting that we can't break down. We're simply coming to an area of relative support in the VIX. And as long as we stay in this area, the market may continue to give us these gap down opens, these large retracements, and ultimately the back and forth struggle between bulls and bears. Bulls are obviously trying to find an area of support that the market can use as a completion of this corrective wave that we're seeing. But kudos to the bears. Every time we get a pull up in the market, they sell it, and we're getting large drawdowns each and every time. So just keep that in mind. With high volatility comes risk, but with risk and the right management comes high reward. So how you take advantage of that is going to be, I would say, supplemental to how profitable you are during this time frame. And that includes us as intraday traders recognizing that the market can do things that are more larger in magnitude than normal. We're in the throes of volatility. Let's try and take advantage of it from a directional sense as much as possible. Quickly looking at the IWM, essentially a no touch at this point, given where we are. We are smack dab at VPOC. Market here has obviously given us some new information as this is becoming sort of a leader in regards to not needing to sell off as heavily. And ultimately what I'm thinking for a trade idea is that once the market does potentially settle, the IWM has some built up energy in the form of range compression. Instead of seeing what we saw in the past with larger swing highs and lows against the range, this is starting to actually compress a bit. So if we are ever to get out of this larger range, I think it could occur on a larger breakout of this pennant. And ultimately, it's a non-directional play at the moment because either direction can break. So for those who are looking at IWM, I would say that the larger range continues to be the gravity point of this market. And this volume profile is basically one of the largest I've ever seen in regards to how significant this VPOC is. So continue to playing sort of delta neutral strategies, thinking about maybe selling condors or selling straddles and strangles, depending on your risk tolerance, or just using different methods to take advantage of this range until it breaks out. Finally, same idea with the Dow. It's worth mentioning that the Dow continues to hold a higher low against the volatile Monday drop relative to the SPY and the NASDAQ. The SPY, of course, is testing lows. So once again, we have our SPY sort of as a middle item in regards to it's not super bearish. It hasn't broken a previous low, but it's also testing it. The Dow is forming this higher low. And once again, if we just shift into a lower time frame, we see our volume profile here. The Dow actually had a strong day yesterday, but it formed a bit differently. We sort of accelerated into the open after a drawdown into our gap. This is notable as well for trend days. Go ahead and draw this gap so you can see usually this morning retracement is very key for a trend day to start. And usually you'll see the trigger once you fill the gap. You got the full acceleration into something like a shorter term VPOC, but we actually came a bit higher. This is kind of what the thesis was across the board, but the Dow actually performed a bit better, actually coming to test the upside of this larger volume profile shelf. So moving into the rest of the week, we're still building these different ideas for how the market is going to move forward, along with what's performing and what's not. It's worth mentioning that energy continues to be one of our strongest overall sectors, but also worth mentioning that energy has performed a full range transition. So just like we saw with other ranges, we want to be cautious of where this market has provided resistance in the past. Yes, this is the outperformer, but if the market decides to rotate into other sectors, you can be sure that energy might suffer a pullback. And what that pullback looks like is something that we have to be cautious of because we are extended from daily trend. We've already moved as far as we needed to move relative to our technicals. So to expect this to go higher without a pullback is basically a very bullish assertion without essentially the right alignment of the trend. XLF, similar idea, as we're starting to test this topside resistance, we are forming bullish structure. And that's of course what we want to see. We have sort of this cup and handle starting to build. And ultimately the confirmation here is either this flag breakout, which we did see a bit yesterday, along with a clearing of previous highs. Would like to see better overall volume occurring in financials. And the thesis, of course, is highly dependent on interest rates. They continue to hold after this pullback. And if you note that this level has been marked ever since we had our swing low. So large acceleration through prior resistance, essentially untested resistance from below, and now retesting it from above. That, of course, is a more technical sense on something that is dependent on what the bond market is doing, but we know where the bonds are set. They have lost this range and they are retesting it from below. So the picture is simply an inverse of a tradable vehicle like TLT. And no matter where you look, if you look at TYX, for example, the 30-year, the picture is basically the same. We're seeing large pushes away from consolidative action, retesting of highs, and essentially continuation. The question then becomes, well, how far can this go? And ultimately, we need to be looking back in time to see some other sticking points of the market. The reason why these are relevant is because the high volatility and the fact that we had large moves away means that this is some sort of important percentage or level for interest rates and the market to respond accordingly. So whether it be larger firms who readjust risk relative to interest rates, usually you will see these reactions in large movements across these indexes. But for now, TLT, at least in my perspective, is a guide. We want to continue to watch this range, and noting that yesterday, the tech sector had a recovery, but the bonds sold off. So there's still pressure across the tech sector in regards to rising interest rates. And the only thing we didn't see yesterday was any of that perform intraday. All right, last but not least, yesterday, during one of our webinars, and last week, we brought up this very simple just correlation graph, which attempts to try and define moments of relative strength and relative weakness depending on the environment that we're seeing. We're looking at interest rates and the dollar, and we know, at least for the short term, that the interest rates are rising. And we also know that the dollar has had a recent bullish breakout. We're also seeing continuation so far as the dollar has held its previous swing high and pushed higher. So it's still worth keeping an eye on these risk factors because ultimately they are affecting short to medium term sentiment, and they are pushing selling pressure into this market. The rising dollar, of course, one of the more concerning ones depending on how fast this breakout occurs. So if you look, while it doesn't have to be 100%, there's definitely selling pressure or negative performance whenever both of these are rising. You're not going to often see high performance in metals simply because metals do not like a rising dollar. Tech and growth, we know for sure that interest rates are a big negative for this area, and they certainly have underperformed from high to low, giving us one of the larger corrections. It's also worth mentioning that inflationary and cyclicals, they technically like a rising interest rate, but the dollar does put some additional selling pressure on equities as a whole. So arguable whether this is a pure negative environment or maybe some sort of mixed environment indicated by the slash. And what I'm simply referring to here is that unless one of these two larger risk indicators starts to back off, it is very unlikely for us to see a relevant and I would say stable bottom in the market. We essentially need one of these two to either completely capitulate to the upside, the idea that maybe bonds find a very significant low and either stabilize or react in some sort of bounce, or we see the dollar basically slowing down. I think with the dollar, given how significant this breakout is and the room for movement back to the upside, I'm certainly watching things as they form. And what I'm watching most recently is going to be this swing low, the fact that we retested it from below, setting it up as a very important level for the dollar, and then the fact that we are coming right into it. So once again, as more aggressive positioning to the long side, you'd have to be in some ways anticipating the dollar to reject this level, basically to give the market the ability to breathe and potentially move higher. But if that does not occur, and especially if we see something like a weekly closure above this line, that would once again indicate more downside risk. And I've gone ahead and show what that volume profile looks like if that happens. You want to be thinking, how fast can the drop occur? And with volume profile, the information is indicating that it might be a fast liquidation type drop, essentially multi-day selling leading into a complete retracement of that pocket and a pullback to the volume node that we came from. The SPY approximately 420 and the Qs approximately 340. So keeping all these risks and opportunities in mind, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. We are in an interesting market to analyze. There are lots of gaps. There are lots of back and forth price action, but just kind of know the underlying forces that are causing some of these movements. The volatility is up for a reason. The market sees risk and they continue to hold hedging, or basically to allow their positions to be directionally protected so long as the VIX remains above 20, roughly. I would say last but not least here, one thing worth mentioning with regards to volatility is that the VVIX, this is the How aggressive is the buying in volatility? Usually when this retraces down back to about 110, that's when everybody in the professional world has already got their hedges on. And ultimately, if the market is to fall, this is going to be that last sort of spike and then collapse, ultimately leading to hopefully a capitulation. We haven't quite seen capitulation yet, and that is the ultimate risk of this market. No one's really thrown out the towel yet in regards to the highest volume sell-off. We're simply testing lows, range-bound trading, and lots of back and forth action. So keep all that in mind. It's an opportunity, but it's also a risk. So trade safe, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hope your morning is a lot better than our technology today, man. It's been a hell of a
It's been
morning.
failure after failure, it
Yeah,
seems like. It's a comedy of errors this morning. I don't know what
I tell
exactly has
you.
been going on there, but
Facebook, WhatsApp goes down, and then other equipment doesn't know how to act. So bear with us. Trade ideas. So I just saw a comment from. It's been down. It's been acting a little funky, but I saw a comment from Mike that if we restart it, it should work. It worked for him. So I'm going to try that now. We're going to go ahead and close trade ideas here. See if we can get our scanners going. So. All right, we'll close that, and then we'll get this started again. Let's see here. Where is trade ideas? And let's see if that fixes things here. All right, we'll see. There you go. From back to worse, not even opening now. Okay, there we go.
there you go.
Let's see if we got tickers now. No,
Big money,
still.
no whammies.
All right, we'll do this, guys. We'll if
I'll
Mike,
read them
if
out to you, brother.
yeah, yours is working? Yours is
Yeah,
good? Okay,
yeah.
sweet. All right, we'll do that. All right, perfect, guys. We'll skip over the stuff that we had yesterday. It was pretty decent day, but just to save time, it's already 8:40. We'll skip on that. We'll focus on our gappers list today. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this stuff here. We'll skip over the market stuff, Norm, unless you have something specific you want to go over this morning that Jared hasn't touched on.
No, not really. I mean, we're in October. It's not too uncommon to see this daily massive chop. What, your daily's not working either?
No, 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 it's
Just
working.
back
It's
and
working.
forth, back and forth, back and forth. We did have ADP employment this morning, which was pretty decent. I just briefly saw it. It's been a kind of a crazy morning for me as well. So, yeah, let's just jump into gappers, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's do it, man. All right, what do we have on the gap up list? What's leading the way this morning?
PLTR, that is the only gap up.
Really? PLTR.
Yeah, they scored a contract with the Army, so they're gapping up this morning,
Oh,
6.8%.
huge volume, guys. 6.6 million shares traded right now. Beautiful pre-market action. Yeah, this will be a good one today, and hopefully it can trade well for us because we know PLTR can be very, very choppy. But I like the fact that the only one gapping up today, so that's pretty good there. All right, let's go to our gap down list. What do we have there?
Hang on, I want to see something. All
Yeah,
right,
sure.
apparently there's a problem with
Hmm.
something, and I don't know what. Hang on.
Okay. Actually, let me switch to the screen here.
Thor, I don't know why your gappers is different than mine. Did you change settings? Gap down, DATS leading the way, low float 10 million.
DATS.
Yep.
Oh, that's yeah. We've seen this before. Be very active. I don't like the volume, guys. Very low volume. 263,000 for a low flow. It's not worth watching. Okay.
Um, in VAX.
NVAX. Well, I'm gonna spend no time on this. I mean, yeah, we'll move on. Guys, you know how we feel about this if you've been watching the show. It is just a horrible intraday trading stock. We'll skip on to the next one. See what we can find there.
SDC.
SDC. SDC, yeah, another familiar ticker that also doesn't trade very well. They got some volume today, but look at this 587 and look at the way it's trading. I mean, this is just not a great pre-market activity. Has a horrible daily. We've seen this in our list plenty of times, gapping down, gapping up. I don't think I ever kept this on my list. What kind of can I look this up? SDC.
Which one? It's Smile Direct Club.
Oh, Smile Direct Club. Yeah, even when they had news, they're just not a great trading ticker. So, all right.
X.
X, I like X here and there, and they are down nicely today, for down 4%, 842,000. Their daily been very funky over the last couple of days, just up and down between 23 and seems to be like 2150-ish or so. So we're below on this range. That could be interesting. Volume is decent. I like that. Pre-market action is not great. Wish it could have been better. But you know what? Let's put it on here. Could be decent today.
That's a Goldman downgrade, by the way.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, we'll see where it goes.
Myrna.
Myrna, M-A-M-E.
MRNA. That's my nickname.
Oh, that's the way you
Moderna.
call it, Myrna.
Yeah.
All right, Myrna. Did not know that. Now I know. Here's Myrna today, guys. Also known as mRNA. This morning they are down 3.5, 219,000. Their daily has been actually pretty decent. Look at this drop here. Popped up the last 2 days. Now kind of down again. Are we heading towards this 300-ish, 304 area? Will be the question. Volume is right now not great, but we know mRNA can get going, so we'll put it on here as a possible for now.
They do have news. Sweden, I guess, pulled vaccines for some people in younger age groups due to health side effects. So,
Okay. We'll see how that pops up today. I mean, they're down 3.5. They had a couple of good days. The last 2 days were okay. Let's see if they're looking to recover or head lower to this morning. All right.
BTBT's firing up here. It's on one set of gappers. It's not on mine for whatever reason. So
yeah,
I don't know why that is, but
yeah, looking good right here after 8 a.m. this morning. So it definitely a large increase in volume. So definitely they are in play. Usually I don't keep this one on deck, but this looks like a great pre-market action. Already 2.4 million. They're up 8.7. They had a good day yesterday. Let's take a quick look on what's going on here. I had a nice day yesterday. No pre-market action, but yesterday look at the pop they had here. Is this overall Bitcoin stuff? What is Mara doing? Are they doing anything today? No, BTBT definitely seems like they got their own thing going on there because Mara is not moving.
Well, they had essentially what is a secondary. It technically wasn't, but close enough, and that's completed. So it's probably part of it. Then they started rallying yesterday on that, so it's a little bit of continuation on that.
Got it. There is a little bit of movement in the other Bitcoin stuff. If you look at Riot here, they went green this morning. They just don't have the volume. Mara has the same thing, but definitely BTBT on deck this morning. I like what's happening there so far.
Where did we leave off? DNA.
DNA, no good, guys. Down 3.7, just no volume, horrible pre-market action, or even worse daily. Maybe a SPAC or something just coming alive a little bit here, but not looking too good for what we're looking to do here.
BTU, which we've looked at the last few days.
BTU, so BTU down 3.4. You know, we talked about this. I don't remember how I actually traded. I think I might have kept it off my list. I don't recall. This morning they're down 3.4. The volume is extremely light. I do like the daily for a possible drop here back to the area where they were around 1550. But just the pre-market action, the volume right now are not giving us any good hope for that to happen. Not at least in a nice clean move. So what we have next there?
Yeah, AAL.
All right. American Airlines down 3.2 this morning. That's interesting. How the travel companies got some movement
downgrade
here.
out of Goldman this morning.
Just American Airlines. Okay. And JetBlue as well?
Them and JBLU, as well. But JBLU usually doesn't trade that well.
Yeah.
So if you're going to pick one of these, I'd probably stick with AAL.
Absolutely. American Airlines tends to trade a little bit better. They get the volume. CCL just check in because sometimes I feel like these two, American Airlines and CCL, like they're bond or something. Like I don't know. It seems like they move together. They're down to 1.4, 384,000. But for the most part,
did pop up on the list a few minutes ago, but I didn't see CCL. So.
Yeah, Cub down at 1.9 and CCL is just barely missed that 1.9 or that 2%, right? Interesting daily on it. Maybe a possible, guys. See how this thing affects things. You know, airlines are having problems. Obviously, a lot of people take flights into this location. I know Carnival is huge in Florida, and I know American Airlines is huge in Miami. I mean, they got a huge base there. So maybe that could be why that happens. Who knows? But we'll keep both of them on here. What else we got on there, Norm?
We've got Bud, which we know sucks, so let's move on from that. Foreign company. Futu. You know what? It's my one chance that I had to say F you to you.
Yes, the one chance. And to say it first. And I had no clue. No clue was coming, man. All right. Well, hopefully we'll have another opportunity to do that. Futu this morning down 2.8, 128,000 shares traded. You guys know how we feel about this one. This has seen better pre-market activity, by the way, than it has today. The only thing I like about this is, and if you do like trading this one, again, this is one of those stocks, I never traded it, but I just don't think I can trade it effectively. So I never add it to my list. And usually when I have it on, when it's in play, or when it is in play, which I don't think it is today, there's been better stuff to watch, right? Like there's been mornings like, oh man, this looks actually pretty good. We can probably put it on our list. And I go back and look at my main list, and there's better things, right? So I don't see it in play. The only thing here, guys, if you like this one and you have space, is the daily might be breaking down here, but I just don't see the volume to be able to do that. All right, what else we have there?
Oxy.
Oxy, yeah, we'll probably watch Oxy. Oxy has been very, very active. We saw a decent pop yesterday. Could not get a huge continuation, but it did pop up pretty nice above that 33. I know Brian was in that. I got out before that, but he held, and he actually was able to get a nice pop above 33, I believe. So pretty nice trade there. Right now, yeah, I think Oxy is worth taking a second look. I would put it on our main list.
All right, FCell.
FCell this morning, we are down 2.5, 295 at the moment. I don't see nothing explosive on this. And this stock gets great volume, right? If you trade it, you know they can get some real good volume. I'm not seeing that this morning, so I'm going to skip on it. Unless there's any specific catalyst, I don't see why we keep an eye on this one.
BBBY.
BBBY had earnings some time back, right? Or was it earnings or just a drop? I can't remember. But this was very nice this morning, guys.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah, right. That's what it was, and that was actually very nice day. Yeah. To intraday trade here, they're down 2.2. Volume is extremely light, guys. I don't think this is in play right now. What is scary though is things continues to drop here, right? So they had a huge gap down. This was a great intraday trade here. It got above 16, and if you held it here, went all the way up to almost 18. So it ran up all day after being so extended in the pre-market, if you guys remember that. But now we're losing some of those lows of this gap down. So that could be interesting, but the volume needs to come in. It's just not there right now.
That's pretty much it. With JetBlue, we already discussed, and Cock you already looked at. So that's the list.
All right. So let's take it over to the room, guys. See what you guys have this morning. If it's already on here, if you're new, we are going to dive into this list a little bit deeper later. So don't throw it back out if it's already on there. Give me some new ones that we haven't looked at. We'll start with Hamish. You're giving us Plug this morning. Take a look at Plug right now. They were down quite a bit here, trying to get back into that green territory. Here's the previous day close line. So they've been just charging up here. Right now, volume 439, which is okay. I feel like that's low volume for Plug for some reason, right? Any other stock that would be okay, but I feel like for Plug, they could do better than that. They're daily very interesting. Every time we get down here, guys, we are getting a pop, right? This has been an area of great support. Might not happen today because usually you have this kind of indecision type day. You see that? And then the following days, you get the run up. So not saying that's going to happen today again, but a few times we've been here, that is what we have done. So that could be interesting. I'll put it as a possible, but I will drop it off if we don't start getting a great pre-market action into the market open. Lucid, LCID, right on here, guys. This one down 1.5 this morning. Daily's just all over the place. Look at things. It's been gapping up, selling down, gapping up, selling down. You know, it's just been weird. So right now they're down 1.5, 546,000. Be careful with this one, guys. It can move very aggressively. We'll put it on a secondary list for now. AMD this morning. Let's take a look at what AMD is doing. No, pretty light right now. I don't think it's showing anything overly exciting here. Yeah, I'll skip on AMD for the moment. And you guys know who's watching this, right? And will probably let us know if something looks good out of the norm there. That'll be Peter. Anything else, guys? We have AMD. We looked at LCID. How about Apple? No one mentioned Apple this morning. Apple 998. I think Apple is just a good one to just have on deck overall, especially with the way the SPY has been in the overall market. I think this is just a good one to keep an eye on. They're down 1.3. They got great volume this morning. So we'll see here. They're daily also very, very interesting. Slamming up against this 139-ish area here a couple of times. The few times we've been below that, even in this pre-market, we popped up. So let's see if we can hold here. Nvidia. Nvidia's seen some good pre-market action there. Wow, 900,000 today. So again, another active pre-market session for Nvidia. And look at Nvidia yesterday. I don't think I had this on my list. We're busy with some other stuff, but Nvidia here, definitely nice intraday action there. We'll add Nvidia to the list as well. VYGR. How are we doing on time? 8:52. VYGR. What we got here? Okay, so this is starting to get going here. What's the float on this? I can't even look that up this morning.
30-ish million, I believe.
30-ish. Okay. 20 million shares traded. I mean, lower price stock. It's slightly above that low flow, but these stocks with this type of volume, man, I don't know. They just don't trade very well. I don't know what it is. Like I've seen lower flow stocks that have a better pre-market action. I believe that when you have such volume like this and you're moving the way you are here, it's very difficult to read that price action. So I'm not a fan of this. I'm gonna stay away from this one, guys. If you like it, definitely add it to your list. Facebook this morning, see what we got going on there. No, not much going on. They got some volume. Again, it's a great possible. I think you have to have Facebook as a possible as things are moving along with them over there. AMC this morning. Let's take a look. AMC. Here we go.
My risk
AMC.
manager's here.
All right. He's making sure that you're not trading on no low flows today. Hey, big man.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. Nice. Make sure your dad's not entering no low flow trades there. Make sure his montage is locked. All right, guys. AMC volume is a little bit lighter than usual. I don't know. I don't see anything exciting on AMC this morning. Facebook, we looked at XENE. That's a low flow, I believe, right? XENE. I don't remember if it doesn't look good anyways. Either way, whatever it is, doesn't look good right now. So low flow or not one that will be.
This one's been going a few days. It's 37 million shares. That's out of FinViz, not Trade Ideas.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure about this
but
one,
they,
guys.
this is the one that they had some positive news. They popped and immediately did a secondary. They've dropped on that, so they priced the secondary yesterday afternoon. We'll see. I don't like third day plays on that stuff though. Like,
yeah, it can get very choppy after such a big move here, and then you got a secondary coming in. I just don't know what kind of price action to expect on this, so just be mindful of that. I don't like it. I think we have other opportunities here, like guys, Nvidia looks very good this morning. They traded well yesterday. We have Apple on deck, which has tons of volume. We just needed them at the market open to just pick a direction, and actually yesterday they had a nice pop. I had a short pop on this yesterday. If you look right over here, they didn't get the continuation, but right here on the 1 minute, especially, you see a nice little breakout there on the 1 minute. Just didn't get the continuation. Then you had to be patient and look after 1040, guys. Look at this incredible move Apple did yesterday. So they're gonna get the volume. We might just need to wait an hour or so before we can get a good opportunity on Apple. All right, excellent, guys. Let's stop here. Let's go over to our community event and announcements, and then we'll come back. Well, actually, after that, we'll have Trader Today's Wednesday. So looking forward to that as well.
all right. Sorry, this is Wednesday. Yep, you're correct. So last night we had Peter and Jared doing demystifying market cycles. Should be posted soon. Next week, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, is Kyle's part 2 for his hotkeys for risk management. And then tonight, we've got Dr. Kenneth Reed talking about 7 consistency killers. And next week, 5 p.m., note the special time, Credo will be talking about overcoming your money mindset blocks. That's next week, 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, guys. Charity of the month for this month for the Bearable Traders Family Giving is National Breast Cancer Foundation. Will be donating all super chat, super sticker money, and the donations from the donation page on the site. Match dollar for dollar by Andrew for the month of October. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day with entries and exits. Add as much commentary as you can to describe the trade. Post it on Twitter, tag @BearableTraders, @MikeB_BBT, and @NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We will announce the winner each afternoon in the room and on Twitter, and then all those trades of the day are eligible for Trade of the Week, voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Monday. If you're watching on Twitter, I'm losing my mind today, man. I'm sorry. If you're watching on YouTube and haven't been in the room, you can do so at a discount. Use the promo code PREMARKET24. All you got to do is go to bearabletraders.com. Scroll down about halfway down the page. You'll see that button where it says Test Drive Now. click that, and then when you check out, use the promo code premarket24. It'll get you a discount. Also, it gives you 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It will only bill you one time. It does not recur. And it gives you access to live onboarding classes and tech classes we do every Monday night as well. If you are looking to become a member, you can get the elite membership and access to all of the great webinar content I just described, as well as the archives from the past. Use the promo code FALL40. That'll get you 40% off the annual elite membership. Good morning, Creda. Yeah, I gotta say, it caught me a little off guard. I'm not used to doing this twice a week, so I apologize. We've had tech problems like crazy this morning and everything else going on. So, what would you like to chat about today?
So today we are talking about boundaries, but I'll just frame the context. So like you said, before it was Mindful Mondays, and now it's twice a week. So just to have a little bit of a distinction between the two, on Mondays, we're going to talk about psychology that directly relates to trading. So you'll really see the direct link to your trading performance in the topics that we're talking about. And on a Wednesday, we're going to talk about more psychology-based topics that relate to you as a person. Because when you're trading, you're bringing yourself to the market, and there's aspects of ourselves that can either help or hinder our trading performance, even if it seems very like an indirect link. So today it's boundaries. And I'm choosing this because in all of my coaching with clients, this is usually the topic that most people need some bit of help with, or a little bit of, fine tuning around. So what do we mean by boundaries? These are the invisible lines that we draw that keep kind of a barrier between ourselves and other people. So they define what's ours, what belongs to us, and what belongs to other people. And these can be physical boundaries. So, you might have a sense of the level of personal space that you're comfortable with. That's your physical boundary. Say mental boundaries, which would be, you're allowed to have your own thoughts, your own beliefs, and other people can have theirs. You can have emotional boundaries, so owning your own feelings, not taking on somebody else's emotions. And then you can have spiritual boundaries. So again, you can choose your own beliefs and you have a right to do so. But often people find that boundaries become blurred, or some people just don't have them. And this is a really common issue. And what does it look like if you don't have good boundaries? So usually this will be that you're, draining your time. So maybe you're over helping other people, giving them too much of your time at the detriment of yourself. Maybe you're taking on other people's emotions. So it could be that, someone gets upset with you for something you did, but, you were justified in doing it. You weren't out to hurt the other person. And then you actually feel guilty and you take on that person's anger or guilt that they're feeling towards you, and you kind of own it. So that's a really common way that people can experience a lack of boundaries, is when they do other people's thinking, or, take on other people's emotions for that other person. And why is this detrimental? So this is unhelpful to us, because if we are consistently not implementing healthy boundaries, so basically not prioritizing ourselves, not putting our needs first, and this is very different to being selfish. This is like a healthy prioritization of self. So think about self-care. So if we're not doing that in a work environment, that could look like taking on too much work, eventually leading to burnout. In relationships, that could feel like taking on other people's emotions, constantly feeling guilty, giving your time or all of your time to other people and leaving nothing for yourself. So at the end of not actually enforcing good boundaries, you will find yourself usually depleted in an emotional way, maybe lacking time for yourself or for the things that you want to prioritize. And ultimately, you're going to feel resentful and quite a lot of anger, even if that's a very suppressed level. So it can show itself in being passive aggressive. And so I just want to bring this to people's attention, because it's something really subtle that can be happening in our day-to-day lives, all the time. And yet we may not be aware of it. So if you're someone that has either weak boundaries or non-existent boundaries, and you start to implement a few changes, you'll actually feel a lot more empowered. So I just want to suggest a couple of ways that, if this is resonating as a topic with people, how you could actually start to change things. So one is understanding that you are completely entitled to say no without providing any explanation to people. So if you're somebody that finds yourself saying yes to everybody, yes to every request, and you're often without time for yourself or you're depleting your own energy, you can say no and you don't have to follow it with an explanation. So there's no guilt around it. If it doesn't suit you, if it's not right for you, you can say no to the other person and you don't need to follow it with an explanation. And how they deal with that afterwards is their own stuff. Like, that's their responsibility. So that's within their own boundary to deal with that. So a practical example of that is, let's say someone invites you, I don't know, to go out on a Saturday night and you've had a really hard week at work. You just want to sit on the couch. You know that you need that time and space for yourself, but you feel guilty because you might feel bad if you say no and they want you to come out, they might think XYZ about you. So you can just hold that line and say no. You don't have to give an excuse as to why you can't go out. So that's a healthy boundary. Another healthy boundary is being very clear on what is your responsibility and what is not. So often this can happen, especially in our relationships, our close relationships, and like those with our parents or our significant others. So we don't have to take on other people's emotions. You are only responsible for your own happiness and for your own emotions. So when somebody else tries to make you feel guilty or tries to suggest that you are making them feel a certain way, that's actually, if you think about it in terms of two bubbles, so there's your bubble and theirs, that's actually within their bubble. That's nothing to do with you. So as long as you are, being kind and upfront and asserting yourself in a very authentic way without any intention to hurt anyone else, then whatever a person feels about your actions is their stuff. So even to just bring this to a practical kind of conclusion or something that you could take away from today, I would suggest that if this topic is resonating with you, then today make an effort to say no to one thing that you would normally say yes to, that you actually feel like it depletes your energy in some way. So say no to that, and then find a way to prioritize yourself today in some small way. It could even be as simple as taking 5 minutes for a cup of coffee that you normally wouldn't take for yourself. And that's practicing really good self-care. So if you can do all of that and hold good boundaries, you're going to actually protect your time, feel happier, and you're also going to have much healthier relationships with other people, because there'll be no resentment festering under the surface when you're actually saying yes when you mean that you want to say no.
That is fantastic, Kreda. Much appreciated. And you have slid into this role perfectly. You've done an awesome job, and all kinds of great comments on here for you that you can't see. So just know that.
Awesome. Look forward to Monday.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
All right, thank you so much, guys. That was amazing. All right, let's get to it. We are going to start over here in our main file: Pltr, X, BBT, American Airlines, Oxy, Apple, and Nvidia. So we'll start with those. I was right when she said say no to somebody, I texted my wife saying no to whatever she asks me today. I usually say yes to her. Let's see how that goes. If anything goes wrong, I'll blame Kreda. All right, just kidding, guys. All right, guys, Pltr, let's get started here. So Pltr is up this morning, probably the only one that's up on our list besides BTBT. We'll see where that is going to go today. Again, they have some positive news here. Great volume, 8.2 million shares traded, guys. That's a whole lot of volume for Pltr this morning. So we'll do some levels here. High of the pre-market 26.15 this morning. Towards the bottom, we do have highs and lows from the last two trading days between 24 and 23. Got a nice little base happening here. Again, the last couple of days on it has not been great. You can see the drop there. So we'll see if this is going to hold. Hasn't been looking all that good in the pre-market. We're on a slight downtrend, as you can see right over here, guys. Slight downtrend. So we'll see if that's gonna turn the corner or not, but they're up 7%. The volume is there. They are definitely in play above the pre-market highs, which is a great level. You can see right on there. If I draw a darker line, you can see how many times we've been touching on this as resistance, as support. More support, major support happening here, guys. By the way, that has been a good level on the daily. The next one above that is going to be 26.86, and then above this we do have 27.66, and all the way up here 28.27. So plenty of levels there. And Also, where the price action is now, if you draw a line right on there, right, we're battling against this 24, what, 80-ish. If you draw a line right on there, you can see some areas of good support and good resistance. A lot of days opening, closing right around that level. So I'm gonna mark that right where the price action is, 24.84. Let's slam a level there. You can see in the pre-market as well. You know, we've been flirting with that level there also. We'll see where that is going to go. All right, let's go move down to X this morning. X is again trying to lose this area consolidation between this is 21.67 around there is the low of the last 2 trading days, and the top of this is the previous day close. A good gauge for this is 22.44. We're below that this morning. Don't mind this transaction being recorded there. A lot of stocks are going to have that at 9 a.m. You have Apple doing that and some other ones too. Just transactions being recorded. I always tell people, you know, don't let this shock you. Usually on stocks that are like Apple, Nvidia, the price action doesn't move like that, right? In a matter of just 2 seconds, right? This thing goes up and down. You can actually have an order here, a stop loss order, or an order, and you won't get filled because this is not really being the price not really moving through this, right? It's being recorded. Towards the bottom, low of the pre-market right now, we're sitting at 21.21. We'll slam a level there. Below this, when's the last time we've been down here? We'll go back to July. And right here, 20.53, we'll throw a level there. And do we have anything in between that? I don't think we do. Not a significant level like we do here, like we do right over here. Yeah, I think 23.51, 23.53 is the best one there. And just look out for the whole dollar, right? Look out for 21. You know, 21 is going to be an area. Yeah, you know, you have actually 2 touches around 21, which is here and here. It's not a major level like 23.53. You got a nice change in direction there, but you can put that on there as well. Towards the top, guys, plenty of levels, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. You're pretty set here on X. This might be more of a possible. I like the volume they have today, 986. This has to continue to trade a little bit better. Let's give it a little time here to get to develop here. BTBT, guys, great pop here out of after 8 a.m. We got some really good volume. They got 3.4 million shares traded this morning, so they're definitely moving. They're getting a little toppy here around 11.34, which is your high of your pre-market. We'll slam a level there, and then slightly above that we do have a 12.79, and up here 14.45. So plenty of levels towards the top as well. So you're pretty much taken care of there. The bottom has your previous day close, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Again, I love the volume in BTBT, and I think the volume is only for them. You can mark the low of the pre-market, 974. And what I mean for them, if I look at Mara, I don't see a whole lot of volume on this one, although Mara is starting to pick up a little bit here. It was nice deep in the red here this morning at 36. Now we're climbing our way into the green territory here. Now we're up 1%. So and the daily does look interesting. I'm going to add Mara as a possible, guys, just to see what's going to happen there. So we'll leave BTBT here for now. They're very active. Our levels are set on that one. Here's American Airlines is next. Again, they got some good volume, 969. They're daily interesting, right? We had the beautiful breakout out of this 2660 up here, found some support after dropping again, and then we're back down again to the same area. That was prior resistance, right? So that prior resistance is now becoming support here, or trying to, at least for today. Let's see if it's going to hold. Low of the pre-market, 20.55. Put that on there. Below that, if we were to lose that level, let's find a good daily. Here the daily gets a little bit messy. I don't see anything great as far as the daily until 1998, right over here, 1998, guys. Look at that level there, a couple of touches on there. In here, there might be some levels maybe around 2017. Not as great as 1998, but we'll put 2017 there just in case. Then towards the bottom of that, we do have a major level here at 1934. Plenty of change in direction there. Tons of support happening at 1934. Towards the top, guys, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Again, American Airlines has the volume. We'll have to see if that is going to trade well. Oxy here, guys. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have one too many. Oxy, I might move Oxy down, guys. I might move this one down. Let's move this one down. I think this might be one of the weaker ones that we have on our list. X2, again, they got great volume. but they're not looking great at the moment. Apple, I'm definitely going to take a look at. Again, they don't look great, guys, but I think it's good to keep an eye on Apple, especially the way the market has been trading. Same thing with Nvidia. I think Nvidia looks really good this morning, actually probably better than Apple as far as pre-market activity. Low of the pre-market for Apple is 138.73. We'll slam a level there. Towards the top, guys, you got plenty highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. So let's talk about this 138 here. Below that, we do have levels over at 138 right on. There's a couple of cents below that. If we were to lose that level, the next big level I see on the daily is around 137.31. So we'll just put that there just in case we're ready. This thing does want to go further down here. Here's Nvidia, guys. Beautiful pre-market action. Almost 1 million shares traded. As low as 198. They tested the low from yesterday. They've been bouncing from that pretty nicely here this morning, down 1.5. I'm going to mark the high of the pre-market over right over here. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to mark the high of the pre-market, but I am going to mark this level here, 201. And the reason I'm going to mark this now is because even if we create a new pre-market high, you can see the level of resistance we had here a couple of times until we finally were able to break out of it now, at least trying to break away from it. So I think that 201 is going to be important. That might become support later. Let's see how far this goes up, and we can set up our pre-market high once this thing gets above 202 or something, if it's going to do that. And it looks like it's trying to 201.75 right there. The price action is right here, guys, surrounded by the price action, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, previous day close. You're pretty much set on Nvidia. I don't think you need to add anything else to make this more complicated than what it needs to be. That's looking pretty good right now. All right, that is what we have, guys. Secondary list, let's run through it quickly. We have Oxy. Oxy is it's okay. We have Mara. Mara, was there any news? There's got to be some news with Bitcoin. Look at Mara now, taking off here, and BTBT ripping as well. Yeah, what's going on? Bitcoin spiking. Bitcoin at 55,000. Okay, so Bitcoin is in play. I'm gonna move Mara up here. Let's see what else is weak that we can move down. So yeah, so something's up with Bitcoin, looking really good right now. I like Mara, I like BTBT. Both BTBT already had amazing volume. That's just picking up nicely now. So let's get BTBT on here as well. Maybe Apple, not Apple, American Airlines or X. Maybe one of these two could drop. I know they both have great volume. You know, we'll leave this here for now. Let's get to the moderators lineup. We can always fine tune that before 9:30. This morning, guys. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very, very much. It does help out the channel a ton, so thank you for doing that. Also, let's give a thumbs up for having Creator on this morning. We have her twice a week, which is amazing. And we're probably going to call this Wednesday session Wisdom Wednesdays. Sean from the YouTube chat gave us that idea. So Wisdom Wednesdays, we'll have that updated for us there for our Wednesday chats. All right, let's go over to our moderators lineup. Here we go. We have Thor. He's coming in with Pltr, American Airlines, mRNA. Secondary is Microsoft, Apple, SPY, and CCL. Peter's looking at, he's not looking at these, but these are some IPOs and SPACs coming out for today. So we got some stuff there brewing. Mike is looking at Netflix this morning. Simon is looking at OCGN, Piton, CCL, and AMD. So looking forward to spending some time with Simon. Simon and I are going to be covering for Andrew tomorrow for the mentorship at 11 a.m. So he's traveling. So Simon and I will be doing that. Look forward to seeing you guys there at 11 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time. Here's Tiffany, PLTR, Nvidia. Dima is looking at Apple, Plug, X, and PLTR. John is looking at Netflix and Mara. And then Jared is looking at just watching the Bitcoin stuff here, hitting 53K. So again, getting very, very active there. All right, guys, that is our list this morning. I think we got some good stuff on here that's moving pretty well. Again, PLTR looking nice, great volume, up nicely this morning. Bitcoin is the only other stuff on my gappers list that's in the green, and some stuff is trying to crawl into the green territory. You got Apple here bouncing off the pre-market lows there. You got Nvidia really bouncing off the pre-market lows there. Okay, now we go. Now we have a nice high of pre-market here at 202. That is looking very nice. So yeah, I'm going to keep these 7. I'm going to continue to fine tune them as we transition into the room to trade. Brian and Thor will be leading the way this morning as they take us through the open. So guys, if all those on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us this morning. If If you like to start the room, we do have a way to do that. You get a pre-market $24 to get access to the chat room for an entire week. So come see what the environment's like, get a feel for the chat room and our trading. Again, moderators come on the entire day and just talk about markets and all kinds of stuff there. Before I switch over to Brian, he's looking at Pltr, Nvidia, BTBT, AMD, and BTBT twice. He likes that one very much. Peter's looking at AMD, PLTR, Apple, secondary list, CCL, and BTBT this morning. So guys over on YouTube, thank you so much. If you haven't done so, hit that thumbs up before we log off. We appreciate you guys very much. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time with Jared engineering the markets, and then followed by Norman and I for the pre-market prep. So take care, everybody. Trade safe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m.